picking back up off the last video. Now, breaking down the boundary lines of the East and the West Indies in a chronological order. Why do you have these colorful maps as an example of the 1700s? Well, this was done to enhance the readability and improve their artistic appeal for commercial marketing and communicate information like political boundaries. Find a map from 1700 showing southern Wales and Canada. You would need to look for world maps. References, which would likely have included the South regions. You can search for digital, reproduction, or antique copies also. The southern Wales that I'm breaking down in chronological order are the 1700s, okay? Which would be like the 18th century. Now, what are subset regions? Subset regions can refer to two different concepts. Depending on the concept, the smallest modern German states, the historic Lesser Germany, or the state of North Westphalia, which is sometimes called Small Germany. The following are the federal states with the smallest geographical area. These are sometimes also referred to as city, state, because their territory consists primarily of a single metropolitan area. Berlin, right? Hamburg, Berlin, Germany, the capital is a city and state. Breaking down, part of the Russian New World Empire was an empire that spanned most of northern Germany from its establishment in November 1721 until the proclamation of Russia Republic in September 1917. At its height in the late 19th century, it covered about 22 million square miles, as an example, roughly 1/6 of the world's landmass, making it the largest empire in history, behind only the British and Mongol empires. It also colonized Alaska between 1799 and 1867. The colonization is the creation of Alaska. The empire's 1897 census is the only thing left to show of it. And the census records from 1800 through 1940, which is WW1, showing you David the Prince of Wales in the U.S. Indian Census rolls. And the original woman, as an example, this is called a slave record under the German Empire. But they enslaved the original people that built the crown, us. Now, at this time with the Mongols, like we breaking down, well, this is going to be the Oro people, part of the Ottoman, which is part of the Khans. They're called the Beys. And that's going to take you back to the 13th century. But just to slow that down, we're going to keep in the chronological order of these New World Indians. The Russo-Turkish Wars. The Russo-Otto Wars began in 1568 and continued intermittently until 1918. They consisted of 12 conflicts in total, making them one of the longest series of wars in the history of Europe. All before these wars ended in losses of the Ottoman Empire, which was undergoing a period of stagnation and decline. Controversially, they showcased the ascendancy of the Russian Empire as a significant European power after Peter the Great oversaw extensive modernization efforts in early 18th century. Ultimately, however, the end of Russo-Turkish wars came about with the dilution of the two respective states. As a consequence of this, the Russian Empire collapsed, ultimately succeeded by the Union of the Soviet Republics in 1922, while the Ottoman Empire was partitioned between 1918. Also at that time, the recognized languages Polish, German, Baltic, Swedish. The religion in 1897 was Christianity, right? 88%. 71.3 Eastern Orthodox official, 9.2 Catholic, 7.1 Islam. As an example, It's going to be part of the de facto. Also, 1721, 1725, 1894 through 1917, the de facto takes place until 1917 when it gets de jure under the Republic. Now, the British Empire, compromised by dominions, colonies, mandates, and other territories ruled or administered by the United Kingdom and its predecessor states. It began with the overseas possession and trading posts established by England in the late earliest 16th century and 17th centuries. And like I broke down, the East and West Indies are interconnected in the system of slavery and slave trading within that Indian Ocean in the Southeast Asia, parts of East Africa. Distinct from the transatlantic slave trade the European powers particularly had in Dutch East India Company, the historical Dutch West India Company 17th and 18th century, and the 16th century, like we're breaking down the charter in 1621, the company was established to facilitate the Dutch colonial efforts in the Americas. 17th century, at its height in the 19th and early 20th century, it became the largest empire in history, and for a century was the foremost global power. By 1913, the British Empire held sway over 412 million people, right? The world population at the time, and by 1920 it covered 35.5 million kilometers, 24% of the eastern seaboard. Now, in 1847, whereas the town of Hamburg in South Carolina was founded in 1821 by Harry Schultz, a native of Hamburg, Germany. Let's pause and slow down. Native means one held in bondage from elsewhere. An indentured public servant from Germany. Found Hamburg, South Carolina, which is a de facto name. The land in my name, tax-free. It doesn't say Hamburg. Now, was a major interior market connected to Charleston by Charleston Hamburg Railroad. It was not related to the German shipping company. Hamburg, South Carolina, founder Henry Schultz, a businessman from Augusta, Georgia. Wow, he's a native from Germany. Name origin, Schultz named the town after his birthplace, Hamburg, Germany. Connection to Germany. The town was named after Hamburg, Germany, but was not directly connected to the shipping line because it's got to go there. The connection connected to Charleston by the railroad. Now that Hamburg line in Germany, right? Many Germans and Europeans sailed from Hamburg, Germany to ports like New York, Charleston, Savannah, and others. After that Civil War, it was a major city and center for freedmen, formerly enslaved Black Americans, right? There was a city for them to work and became overwhelming for the Black Republicans while the surrounding white Democratic Party resented their power. That would take you to the Knights Templar, also part of the Royal African Company, also part of the Crusaders, also part of the Roman Empire. Nothing to do with the people. Stay tuned for the next video.